Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the first day of February, so the first trading day of February, but the last trading day for this week. So welcome everyone, welcome to this Friday's morning session where we're gonna have a look at the markets, a few charts, as always, the usual stuff. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay guys, so now then let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is DAX. Now yesterday, looking at this daily chart here, you can see that it initially in the first hours of trading it tried to push higher but failed to kind of reach this key area of resistance here near the 11,330, but managed to kind of reach the area almost, or actually just wouldn't say almost, but slightly above the 11,300 level. So just it was 311. So but nevertheless, I mean, from there he kind of quickly reversed back down and traded lower and managed to drop here all the way here towards this 11,060 level, certainly just breaking below the 50 EMA but actually staying above the 21 EMA here on the daily chart. But again, this is what happened like in the when the US session opened. We saw the reversal and we saw this one traveling back up here again. So in a way, of course, looking at this picture, the candle is bearish. We could in a way start saying that we could see maybe further declines here. The only problem is because it's such a mixed trading here, it's a bit difficult to predict exactly where it's going to travel. So if we look at the 4-hour chart, for now, of course, if we want to start looking at much higher levels in the near term, well, we will probably need to wait until we get a nice pop above the 11,330 level, and only then we'll target higher levels, and then we'll target this downside resistance line that has been running here for quite a while, and to be more precise, since around the high of the 15th of June last year. So guys, in terms of the upside, that's what we're looking for. Of course, you can see that this is where the index closed yesterday. So looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see it just closed below this 200 EMA, and looking at the cash index where it is right now, it certainly is trying to push higher a little bit. Of course, we still have a few minutes to go before the opening, so probably we're going to end up opening somewhere around here near this 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. And if we do see something like that, then yep, we will have to be very cautious here, because to be honest, because of such an eventful day today, we do have the German PMIs coming out as well, and we do have the German manufacturing PMIs, of course, and we do have the Eurozone's preliminary inflation figures. So that's what's in regards to the European news. So in a way, be very careful with this one. Let's say what you can do here is, of course, keep an eye on the lows that we saw here yesterday, or let's say the lows of the candles here near the 11,100 level. So a nice good drop below the 11,100 level could potentially lead towards a retest of the psychological 11,000 level. But if this continues to travel further up here, and if we start breaking the 11,260 level, we can see that this is where the candle here, this 4-hour candle yesterday opened, and if we do get a nice push higher here, then yep, we could start targeting the 11,330 level. But again, like I said, for better confirmation of the upside, we need to see a pop above this level first, and then we will aim for higher levels. So that's why in a way we are going to remain somewhat neutral here. but to be honest, like I said, we will keep a close eye on some of these key levels that I was just mentioning, especially on the downside. If it wants to continue traveling in the same direction of the daily candle, of the yesterday's daily candle, then a drop below the 11,100 level could potentially confirm that slide further. For now, guys, be very careful. Certainly, of course, if we do get a drop below the psychological 11,000 level, well, I mean, this could turn out to be a bit ugly for this index. So keep your eyes on this one. Like I said, on the downside, 11,100 level, and the on the upside 11,220 11,260 level on the upside. So keep your eyes on these two levels. Let's see what it wants to do with it and how it plays out, but for now, just probably remain a little bit more on the cautious side, guys. Jumping into DXY now, looking at the DXY, the dollar index, and before we jump into a 4-hour chart, let's quickly have a look at the daily. So you can see that this is the situation what's happening right now here, and in a way we are moving below this downside resistance line taken from the highs of December last year. So we do have this tentative downside line here. Certainly you can see that yesterday the index managed to rebound from this 200 EMA, initially piercing it to the downside, but then found good support near one of these levels that I've mentioned in one of my previous videos, around the 95.20 level, maybe just slightly a few points lower, but nevertheless you can see that it rebounded back up here, managed to push itself back above the 200 EMA, and closed the day well in the positive territory. So in a way, certainly this doesn't mean that now we're just going to continue flying higher here or something like that, but probably it just indicates that there is a bit of a mixed trading here. You can see that the day before here on Wednesday, we did have a strong bearish candle here. So in a way, this upwards moving this positive candle could be seen just as a small correction before another leg of selling. So I do apologize. So in a way, what you could have a look at here from the short-term perspective, let me just jump into a 4-hour chart. So you could, in a way, keep your eyes on this little line right here, and let me just quickly draw that, guys, for you. So this is what I'm talking about. So keep an eye on this downside resistance line, this very short-term downside resistance line taken from the highs of the 24th of January, and of course, if this gets broken, yep, we could see maybe a further push higher, maybe towards this key area of resistance near the 95.90 level, approximately there. But if this downside, the short-term, very short-term downside resistance line continues to hold, we could see another slide lower here, and especially if this decides to drop today below this pivot here, this could be a bit of a warning sign for the bulls, and we could see maybe more bears stepping in here and potentially driving this one further down here. So also don't forget, do you have the NFPs today, the US non-farm payrolls, which well, I mean, could probably provide a bit of good activity here and good volatility in the what's relating with the dollar. So let's jump into in one crypto here. So the Ripple, and this one I was covering this week, and basically what I was talking about here, to keep an eye on this flattish upside support line taken from the lows of the September last year. So in a way, we can see that we initially had a nice push higher. We broke back above it, and but yesterday started sliding back down, but now this is where it's kind of getting held. The problem here is, of course, if this decides to break this lower, if this upside support line gets broken again, and we see the price dropping further down, now this is probably where the bull should remain cautious, because to be honest, this could lead towards a break of this 0.2865 level that I was talking about. So a nice good drop below this could lead towards much lower levels here, and the next potential target that we got here is the 0.2465, and that was marked by the lows that we saw here back in back in August 2018. So a good potential area of support, but then again, like I said, for now, keep your eyes on this upside support line. If it continues to hold, the price up, then yep, a nice push back up here, back above the pivot today, for example. This could lead towards maybe higher levels again, and we could target the recent highs. But for now, guys, again, like I said, the big question here is, of course, what's going to happen with this upside support line. So in a way, you could start looking at the level here near the 0.3170. A nice good push above it could lead towards much higher levels. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. Looking at the euro dollar here, guys. So what's interesting here is that looking at this from the very short term perspective, you can see that we did have a nice upside support line here running from the 24th, the low of the 24th of January. And now, of course, what's happening here is we are breaking this to the downside. Of course, don't get me wrong, that doesn't really mean that we're going to just continue dropping further down here, but still, this kind of is a bit of a worry signal for the bulls. And the fact that we are already trading well below the pivot here, which is around the 114.65 zone, approximately there. Now this is, of course, raises concerns. I mean, we could see maybe a slide lower here towards a retest of the 114 level, but if the 114 doesn't hold, well, I mean, keep your eyes on this. This upside support line, in a way, now becoming, of course, some could say maybe it's a bit of a tentative one because we had an undershoot here, a break of it, and but still, it's kind of, in a way, you can see that how well it's playing here for now still. So that's what I'm saying, guys. Keep an eye on the 114. A break below this could lead towards this retest of this upside support line here. But for now, guys, this is a bit of a tricky one, and to be honest, it might hang around here, might probably not move anywhere until the NFPs come out. So, and then probably we'll see the whole action. If this suddenly reverses sharply back above the pivot here, back above the 114.65 level, then yep, we could in a way target these recent highs. Of course, the psychological 115 level, but also we could target this 115.15 level, which was the highest point of this week so far. So so keep your eyes on this one. Keep your eyes on the pivot, which is around the 114.65. A nice good push above this could lead towards higher levels again, and by higher levels I mean the 115 or the 115.15. So and on the downside, a nice good drop below the 114 level could be that could open the path towards a retest of this upside support line. Jumping into GBPJPY now, this one here is also very interesting because we are trading below this upside support line taken from the lows of the 3rd of January, and of course, now the problem here is that the fact that we're very close to the pivot, and it's really difficult to say where exactly it wants to push higher. You can see that if we zoom in here a little bit, one positive aspect about this is the fact that after it dropped here on yesterday, it made a low. Today, you can see that today it kind of made another low, but the only thing is that was a higher low. So, and this formation, what's happening here right now, it's kind of curving up here, and potentially we could see maybe a push higher. So in a way, this is just for now, this is just an idea. So in order to kind of consider that, we need to see a nice good push above the pivot, which is around the 142.70 level, something like that. So a nice good push above that, a strong push above that, and of course above this 50 EMA shown here as the red line on the 4-hour chart. This could potentially lead towards a retest of the 143.20 level, marked here by the highs of the 31st of January, which is yesterday, or even actually we could see further acceleration to the upside here. But for now, guys, you can see that it's banging on the door here of the pivot, and let's see let's see how it plays out. But in order, let's say, to consider the downside here, well, we would need to see a nice good drop below yesterday's lows, which were around the 142.22 level, something like that, approximately there. A nice good drop below this could lead towards a test of this S2 here, or even the 200 EMA here shown on the 4-hour chart. So again, like I said, guys, for now, probably try to play the cautious game, the safe game, and keep an eye on the 142.22 level on the downside. Nice good break below this could send this pair lower, but if this decides to push higher above the pivot, this could be seen as a nice good sign for the bulls. But for even a better confirmation, if we do get a nice pop above the 143.20, this is where it could become even more exciting for more bulls, and we can see this one traveling further up here. So for now, guys, it's probably better to play the waiting game and see and wait for that confirmation break. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's very relevant for today as well, and that's USDCAD. Now, before I look at the 4-hour here, looking at the daily, you can see that yes, today we're having a bit of a retracement here, back up here, slightly above the 200 EMA here on the daily chart, but nevertheless, we're still keeping a close eye on this upside support line. Taken from the highs, the lows of January last year, and very strong line here. We're not far from that. So in a way, if the numbers come out disappointing and the Canadian dollar gets a boost here, and we could see the USD-CAD getting moving lower here and dropping below the some of these key support levels. And let me just jump into the 4-hour chart just to have a better view of those levels. So in a way, what we could keep a close eye on here is, and let me just adjust a few lines here, guys. So on the downside, guys, keep an eye on this little support zone here near the 130-120. A nice good drop below this could send the pair lower towards the retest of this upside support line that I was talking about, this long-term upside support line. But on the upside, a nice good push above this area right here, around the 130-160. This could potentially lead towards slightly higher levels. We could maybe then travel all the way here towards the 132 zone, which you can see that acted as a nice area of support back on the 28th of January. So basically, a nice good push above the 132 level could be that gateway back towards higher levels. But for now, probably until the news will start coming out here from the US and Canada, we could potentially see this one just ranging here between the 130-160 on the upside and the 130-120 on the downside. So be very careful, be very cautious, and let's see how this plays out. But in general, guys, I mean, there is still some room for the downside, and this could in a way play out nicely here with a retest of this long-term upside support line. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching and listening, and I thank you very much for watching and listening, and I really hope you want to join me later on. I'm in my traders tea time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, and be very careful today, guys. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.